Okay, so what we've got going on is I want to have a series of videos about restoration. A number of people have asked me about doing a restoration video. I'm not really set up to do like a full-blown restoration, like where you get to see me take everything apart and do everything and do all the cleaning and that kind of stuff, for a number of reasons. It would be incredibly long. Two, I'm not really set up to do it. I don't have any way to basically use my iPhone. I don't have like a GoPro thing, though that would be cool if I had a GoPro thing, then you could see me. But also it'd be editing problems, and it would just, I don't have any editing software or the time to learn how to use it. But doesn't mean that we can't do almost the next best thing. So I'm going to go through and we're gonna look at an unusual watch. I was inspired to do this because of an unusual watch that I got. Now I'm going to preface this a little bit. I'm going to digress slightly. I have a series of rules that I've made over, gosh, basically 20 years on eBay. Rules for buying, and they've generally stood by me. I think they're good rules. Typically, no matter what kind of collectible thing that I'm buying, I like to make sure that I follow these certain things. I always avoid buying anything that is restored. Ideally, I want to see a watch that is original, untouched, was never abused, no one has tried to restore it, that never got water inside, and is from a seller who doesn't look like they are doing anything other than just trying to sell the stuff that they have, whatever they are. So I tend to, one of the key things I tend to do is to look for unrestored watches in the areas where they were originally imported to. So Japan, obviously they wouldn't be imported, but anyway, but Japan, Australia got a lot of original Seikos bought back in the day. In the United States, got a lot of Seikos back in the day. Typically in Europe, and again, this is just me, making an assumption based on observation. I don't think there were a lot of Seikos that made it to Europe. You might have been able to buy them on bases, American bases and stuff like that, but I don't know if people really did that often. I think that those areas were still more under the umbrella of the Swiss watch industry versus the United States. One of the areas I specifically avoid buying from, for the most part, is like Southeast Asia, specifically the Philippines. Not because I have any problem with the Philippines or anything like that. It's just that watches in the Philippines tended to live long, hard lives. They were, as the saying goes, they were ridden hard and put away wet. Very warm, very humid, and so the dials will be terribly faded. There will be water ingress, the lume will be destroyed, the movement will be damaged, the case will be pitted. All this stuff will have happened, and you can see. And the problem, and that's not so much of a problem. But what people will do often in the Philippines is because they can take these junk watches and more or less refurbish them and then sell them to the West and make a good amount of money. And so my problem is, again, not with the Philippines, it's with people trying to make some extra money deceptively, which I'm not that big of a fan of. That said, I do have, in my rules for buying, I have a few exceptions. There's a seller on eBay. His eBay name is The Watch Collector. His name is Ramon. And the great thing about Ramon is that he doesn't doctor up his stuff at all. So we already know that watches in the Philippines have issues with water and heat and humidity and lack of maintenance, and we know that they're going to be rough. The problem is that when people try to make them look like they aren't rough. Ramon, he doesn't do anything to his watches. He just finds them and he puts them up, and that's it. What you see with Ramon is what you get. So if you're looking for parts and stuff like that and you are feeling brave enough, whatever you order from him is what is going to show up, which is nice. Now, typically with Ramon, the stuff he has is pretty beaten, just as a side effect of, where he is and where he lives and where the watches that he gets are and the watches he's putting up for sale. But about 3 weeks ago, he put up a watch and it satisfied a number of my rules. And surprisingly for a Philippines watch, it looked like it had some water inside, but not a ton, and it didn't look like it had been beaten to death. So, knowing that it was Ramon and knowing that he didn't doctor up the watch at all, I looked very closely at the watch, and I looked at the pictures, and I'm like, that looks very interesting. And so so it arrived, and my rules worked. What are the rules? You want to look through the scratch crystal and you want to see the condition of the dial loom. You want to look at the insert and look at the loom pip, or if one is present, and look at that. You want to try to see the case lines if you can and see if it's original. But really the key thing is the dial loom and also the fade of the dial. So this is a 7002 7000. So I've been thinking about these a lot. So there it is. There's 7002 7000. And this was, I looked at it and I looked at the dial loom and I was like, not only is the dial loom not damaged, it's the rare tan. There's a lot of stuff about the 7002s that I don't know, that many people don't know. Maybe they know, but I don't. There have been rumors for years that Seiko tried a couple different kinds of loom for these 7002s. And I've seen a good number of the tan dials, but always in rotten condition, with a lot of the loom missing. This one, I looked at this picture in Ramon's auction and I'm like, all the dial loom is good and it's all tan. Not only that, the resist text right here, it's a little faded, but it's just to an attractive orange. It's not faded down to a gray or something. So I'm like, okay. It got a little bit of water inside because we could see it from the handset. The handset loom is bad, but I'm like, 7002 handsets aren't that hard to come by. So I was like, okay, the dial loom is good. The insert looks pretty decent. The loom pip on the insert is pretty decent. Okay, cool, let's get this thing. And it was a quite affordable buy now. And it was, when it arrived, I was very pleasantly surprised. It is entirely original. It's never been abused. There's no pitting inside the case back. The movement does not seem to be terribly damaged by either excessive wear or by moisture intrusion. It definitely has some kind of a problem. It won't run at all. I'm suspecting what I'm going to find is that someone dropped it, and that one of the pinions, like say the pinion of the escape wheel, will have broken off. That's typically what tends to happen, and then somebody put it away. So again, this is just a theory, but if that proves to be the case, then this one will be a rare survivor because the person didn't throw it away and they didn't get it fixed. It just broke and they put it into a drawer. Again, this is just a theory. I don't know that that's true. But I tell you, I'm pretty excited about this. It's a really late 7002. 7002s are funny because they're this weird transitional model. And Seiko did a lot of different stuff. They were the first diver that was made after basically the Suwa and Daini plants in Japan stopped really doing their thing and production was moved to Hong Kong and Singapore. Seiko had two versions of these. They had the first gen 150 meter ones, and then they had the second gen 200 meter ones. But the crazy thing is that when they introduced the second gen 200 meter to adhere to the new ISO standards, they never stopped making the first gen. And so like this, it's really late. These were made from 1988 to 1996. This one is November 1996. Incredibly late, so late that there's no Daini lightning bolt on the back, that's pretty interesting. But again, there's a lot of variations, and I don't know everything. Believe me, I don't know everything, and a lot of the knowledge about these hasn't really been gathered in one place recently or updated recently, because for a long time people didn't really collect these. They mostly would buy them to mod the bejesus out of them, and this one avoided that too, not modded. But now more and more people are recognizing what good movements these are, what good watches they are. And so this one really is a rare survivor. And I'm very much looking forward to going through this watch, and we're gonna strip it apart and we're gonna see what the heck is going on. So this is gonna be a multi-part series that I'm gonna take more time and invest more time so that you all can see what is going on, and we can talk more about the quality of the movements, because there's a lot of misinformation about the quality of these movements, because these things were absolutely a step up from the previous 6000 series. Don't let anybody tell you different. These things were an improvement, and there's some common, some received wisdom out there that's the opposite is true. These are great movements. And these are very, very good watches. And people focus on the wrong thing, so that they have a plastic dial ring. Who cares? I can put a metal dial ring in, and you know what? It'll make absolutely no difference. No one will ever know. Whether it's metal or plastic, it makes no damn difference at all. So I'm excited about this. And so this is really going to be fun because we never see that tan dial loom. The big question is, what am I going to do about the handset? We're going to talk about that, but we're gonna bring this baby back. This rare survivor, very, very late, never got modded, wasn't destroyed by moisture, lived in the Philippines, but wasn't ever ripped apart or badly repaired or any of that kind of stuff. Entirely original, unrestored watch from the Philippines, from Ramon, the watch collector, who's a great guy. And boy, it's gonna be fun. Okay, let's look for that video. I don't think I'm gonna get into it today, but the next series videos, we certainly will. Okay, thank you so much. Gonna be fun.